On the brink of the legendary Euphrates River, long forgotten by men, something profound and profane was about to awaken. The ground began to tremble, a whispering murmur rising from the very soil, as if the earth were groaning under the weight of an ancestral burden. The sound of rusty chains breaking echoed through the air, metallic and shrill, followed by a guttural roar that seemed to echo from the depths of the abyss. The chains that for millennia had imprisoned the four fallen angels began to shatter, releasing a dark energy that emanated from the depths of the earth. The chains broke with a final snap, and the earth opened up, spewing a dense, black mist. From the depths emerged shadowy figures, shrouded in an aura of darkness. Their eyes glowed like embers, and their wings, once glorious, were now deformed shadows. The fallen angels, freed from their prison, rose, their countenances reflecting an ancient and implacable fury. The atmosphere was heavy with the presence of evil, as if the very air were imbued with despair and perdition. The winds howled, carrying murmurs of curses and lost laments. The fallen angels raised their voices in unison, a chorus of condemnation that made the heavens themselves tremble. And the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, day, month, and year were released to kill a third of mankind, Revelation 9 verse 15. The release of the fallen angels marked the beginning of a new chapter of terror and chaos. Each step they took on the dry, cracked earth made nature writhe and wither. The waters of the Euphrates, once vital, began to recede and dry up, transforming into a dark and poisonous stream. The four fallen angels, guided by a rage burning since the dawn of time, prepared for the final battle, Armageddon. The world of men, in its ignorance and inattentiveness, was not ready for what was to come. Darkness was rising, and the hour of judgment was inexorably approaching. Asmodeus, the most imposing of the four, was a colossus of fury and destruction. His presence was like a raging storm, and his burning eyes reflected the essence of a bottomless abyss. In his days of glory, Asmodeus had been the guardian of deep mysteries, but his pride led to his downfall. His power lies in manipulating inner darkness, the ability to inflame corruption within human souls, turning them into wells of vices and cruelties. In ancient times, Asmodeus watched humanity corrupt itself and lose itself in ephemeral pleasures. He himself had succumbed to desire and pride, and his fall was marked by a desperate cry of resistance against the divine will. Betrayal and defeat were etched into his essence, and his desire now was to spread that same corruption. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Matthew 16 verse 18. A constant reminder of his defeat. Azazel, the second being, was a fallen angel known for his ability to corrupt and distort morality. His body was covered with dark, rigid skin, and his penetrating gaze seemed to strip souls of all purity. He was the master of moral seduction, known for turning virtues into vices and weakening humanity's ethical principles. Azazel had been an angel of light, a guardian of divine principles, but his fall was precipitated by his passion for corrupting human morality. In ancient times, he spread profane teachings among societies, especially during the period of the Old Testament, influencing men to deviate from their principles. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. Isaiah 5 verse 20, a reflection of his corrupting influence. The third angel, Samayaza, was the leader of the angels who, like the Nephilim, descended to earth and corrupted humanity with their forbidden teachings. His presence was majestic and threatening, with large, dark wings like the night. He was primarily responsible for introducing forbidden knowledge to humanity, guiding it to rebellion against the divine order. Samayaza and his followers were responsible for introducing secret arts and hidden secrets to men, teaching them about magic and forbidden techniques. His fall was a direct consequence of teaching such knowledge, which led humanity to a state of degradation. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Jude 1 verse 6, a description of his punishment. Mammon was the most cunning and deceptive of the four. His body seemed like a combination of riches and molten gold, reflecting his obsession with wealth and power. He possessed the power to seduce and corrupt hearts through greed and avarice. His mission was to exploit and deepen human avarice, inciting competition and exploitation. Mammon had been an angel of justice, but his love for riches and power consumed him, leading to his fall. At the height of commerce and colonial exploitation, he manipulated the hearts of the powerful and the greedy. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, 1 Timothy 6 verse 10, a constant reminder of his power and his corruption. Each of these four fallen angels had a distinct role and a unique motivation. News of the fallen angels' release and the imminent Armageddon spread like thunder breaking the silence, and the angels mobilized with a silent and resolute determination. Heaven, which had witnessed peace and harmony for millennia, now prepared for the inevitable confrontation that was approaching. In the center of a hall of resplendent lights and shining marbles, the celestial council gathered. The serene and immortal figures of the archangels aligned in a majestic formation, their robes glowing with a pure light that reflected justice and truth. The air was saturated with a sense of expectation and urgency. Michael, the warrior archangel, was the leader of the celestial armies. His imposing presence, with golden armor and a flaming sword, inspired confidence and courage. Michael was known for his strength and his skill in divine battles. Now, he prepared his soldiers for the final battle, where every strategy and every move would be crucial to the fate of humanity and the cosmos. In the beginning of time, Michael had led the resistance against Lucifer's rebellion and his followers. The victory in that confrontation had established divine order and maintained balance in heaven. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. Revelation 12 verse 7, a constant reminder of his experience and leadership. The legions of angels aligned in orderly ranks, each receiving resplendent armor and sacred weapons, shining with the light of truth and justice. Heaven was abuzz, with angels preparing to face the evil legions rising from the depths of the earth. Before the battle, a purification and blessing ritual was performed, where negative energies were dissipated and divine forces were summoned to reinforce the celestial legions. With the preparation complete and orders given, heaven prepared for the confrontation that would determine the fate of the world. The celestial armies were ready to descend and face the fallen angels and their evil legions as the battle of Armageddon approached, bringing with it a hope of redemption and a final test of faith. As dusk plunged the world into a sinister twilight, the first clashes between the forces of good and evil began to unfold. The Battle of Armageddon was far from the only fight. Before it, a series of smaller and intense battles began to set the stage for the great final confrontation. These initial skirmishes served to test the strength and determination of both sides, as the fate of humanity and the cosmos unfolded in a series of decisive confrontations. The legions of fallen angels, led by Asmodeus, Azazel, Samayaza, and Mammon, began to emerge from the shadows, their forces corrupting and devastating the lands around them. The earth trembled under the march of their armies, and clouds laden with darkness began to spread across the sky. The evil forces spread, sowing chaos and destruction in every region they touched. The first major battle took place in the arid lands where ancient Mesopotamia was located, where Asmodeus led his followers in a devastating attack on a city that had been a center of peace and prosperity. With his power to inflame corruption and decay, he unleashed a wave of malign influence over the city, inciting the population against itself. The inhabitants, consumed by internal violence and unbridled desire, turned against each other, while Asmodeus watched with satisfaction. His followers, specters of pure malevolence, spread chaos and destruction, becoming a shadow of the old order. In response, the angelic legions, under Michael's command, were sent to contain Asmodeus's advance. Michael led a brilliant and tactical attack, their armor shining like beacons of hope amid the darkness. The battle was fierce, with angels and demons clashing in a confrontation that lit up the night with sparks of light and darkness. The next battle occurred in an ancient forest, where Azazel had unleashed his corrupting power over humans and creatures of nature. He had transformed the forest into a place of moral distortion, where trees twisted into grotesque shapes and animals were consumed by savagery. The celestial armies, led by Raphael, arrived to confront Azazel's corrupting influence. Raphael, with his aura of healing and protection, fought to restore natural order and protect the innocent from Azazel's clutches. The fights in the shadows of the trees were intense and devastating, but Raphael, with his pure light, managed to repel the darkness and restore part of the forest. Samayaza and his followers attacked an ancient fortified city, known for its wealth and secrets. They were determined to corrupt the sacred knowledge and spread forbidden teachings. Samayaza, with his power to deceive and divert, surrounded the city with a legion of Nephilim, engendering chaos and despair among the inhabitants. The celestial forces, commanded by Michael, surrounded the city in a siege of light and steel. The battle was marked by intense clashes and astute strategies, as Michael and his angels fought to break the siege and liberate the city from Samaya's influence. Each battle was a struggle not only for survival, but for the restoration of divine order. Mammon, with his ability to seduce and corrupt through greed, had unleashed his influence over a great metropolis, transforming it into a center of avarice and corruption. The celestial legions, led by Gabriel, were called to confront Mammon's dominion. Gabriel, with his ability to communicate and coordinate, organized a strategic attack to confront Mammon's forces and restore justice and equity in the city. The confrontation was marked by intense battles, where every street and every building became battlefields. These early skirmishes were more than battles. They were rehearsals for Armageddon. Each battle revealed the intensity of the struggle and the determination of the forces of good and evil. The celestial forces, despite their partial victories, knew that the true battle was yet to come, and the armies of fallen angels were preparing for a final attack that would define the fate of the world. As the early skirmishes subsided, the forces of good and evil began to mobilize for the prophesied battlefield. The stage was set for the great final confrontation, Armageddon, and the journey to the sacred and devastating site became a testimony of determination and anxiety, a march that would define the fate of all things. Finally, after days of fighting, the final battle was about to begin. The celestial armies, under Michael's command, were marching to the battlefield, located in the heart of the Euphrates River. A great drought had revealed an ancient and dark valley that now served as the setting for the apocalyptic confrontation. The road to the valley was illuminated by a celestial light, a dramatic contrast to the shadows beginning to extend across the land. Michael recalled past battles, such as when he led the celestial armies against Lucifer's forces. The experience and wisdom gained in previous battles prepared him for the great confrontation that was approaching. "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." Psalm 23 verse 1. An affirmation of confidence and security in the final victory. Meanwhile, the infernal armies, under the leadership of the 4 fallen angels, advanced toward the same valley, but their journey was marked by darkness and devastation. The path they traveled was a field of ruins and desolation, a reflection of the corruption and destruction they spread wherever they went. As the armies approached the prophesied battlefield, the valley of Armageddon began to take shape. The land was marked by signs of destruction and preparation, with ancient prophecies written on the rocks and sacred marks delineating the area. And with the sound of trumpets, the battle began. Cosmic conflicts between angels and demons, beings of light and beings of darkness unfolded. Demons from the depths rose to spread evil to humanity, but God's light was with the angels and beings of good. In an apocalyptic setting, archangels led by Michael defended God's grace against the 4 fallen angels. In the beginning, evil seemed to prosper and defeat many beings of light. Asmodeus, Azazel, Samiaza, and Mammon, seeing the opportune moment, united to attack Michael. They then headed towards the celestial angel. Michael, imposing in his resplendent armor and with his flaming sword raised, prepared to face his most formidable adversaries. Before him, with an aura of darkness and malevolence, were the 4 fallen angels, Asmodeus, Azazel, Samiaza, and Mammon. Each exuded a corrupting force, fueled by their falls from grace and their tormented souls. Asmodeus, the lord of lust and corruption, advanced with a storm of infernal flames. His eyes burned with an insatiable desire for destruction. With a roar, he launched a wave of flames that threatened to consume everything in its path. But Michael, with the calm and precision of a celestial warrior, raised his sword, and an explosion of pure light dissipated Asmodeus's flames, reducing him to brilliant ashes. Azazel, the leader of the fallen, moved with sinister agility. He wielded a black sword and conjured a storm of shadows and vengeance. His attack was a series of quick and deadly strikes, but Michael moved with the grace and strength of lightning. Every blow from Azazel was blocked by shields of light until, with a decisive strike, Michael pierced the heart of the fallen leader, and Azazel was consumed by an explosion of sacred light. Samiaza, the angel of rebellion and disobedience, tried to use his manipulation skills to confuse Michael. He created illusions and shadow projections, but Michael kept his vision clear and his purpose firm. With unwavering strength, he cut through the illusions, striking Samiaza with a blow of pure celestial light that dissolved the fallen angel into a cloud of shining dust. Mammon, the last of the 4 angels, the lord of greed and avarice, attacked with a series of missiles of corrupted gold and decadent wealth magic. Each attack seemed to have the power to subvert and corrode, but Michael, driven by divine justice, stood firm. He used his sword to cut through the gold and corruption, dissipating Mammon's power. With a final blow, Michael freed creation from the fallen's influence, and Mammon disintegrated in a cascade of resplendent gold. With the 4 fallen angels defeated, the battle of the apocalypse reached its climax. The archangel Michael, triumphant, raised his sword to the sky, and divine light flooded the universe. His victory over the 4 angels initiated the end of darkness. The battlefield, once dominated by darkness, now shone with the eternal light of justice and redemption. But the battle was not yet over. Lucifer, the supreme angel of darkness, was still leading all evil, But the confrontation with Lucifer was not Michael's task, but that of the great Savior, Jesus Christ, who with his white horse would descend from the heavens and end evil once and for all. Thus, we come to the end of our narrative. If you enjoyed the content and want us to continue this fight between Jesus and Lucifer, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to follow the channel and leave your like. May God bless you.